Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back after an explosive first game. Devine absolutely rolling through the Ascendance lineup. We are into the second game of this best of three semi-finals. Devine have the blue side pick this time round. They are one up in the series. I am here with Jackson Asigulus Walters, and we are ready to guide you through the pick and ban phase of the second game. How are you feeling after that first one?
Well, it was a pretty good game by Devine, I gotta say. I feel like their pick and ban phase went really well for them. They got a lot of their comfort picks. Dan, obviously, with that Rek'Sai, and in the bot lane, Naza grabbing up that Jinx pickup. So this time around, I'm expecting that maybe Ascendants try and pick up Janna. Because I'm not sure if they want to go for the Jinx. I feel like it's a strong pick, but unless Warrior is super comfortable on it, he could be utilized better on different champions. But Janna, if you pick it with a Jinx, adds so much there that they can take that away and still kind of handicap how much Naza can do with his favorite champion.
Yeah, I mean, that Janna Jinx combination is probably, like we said, time and time again, the strongest tower pushing combination in the bot lane that they can possibly provide. So taking that Janna away will mean that they won't have the same pressure on towers that you do previously. Going to ban the Azir. We didn't pick it up last time, but Half Past Thor was an absolute dominant force with that Azir last week. I think we saw him play. He was ridiculous. So that's a ban against him. And then the Hecarim, they were not going to let that one slip through this time around, and Hecarim banned away from Zizzle. That's not going to get all the way down to the fifth pick. It's going to go away right now. And this is Sejuani being hovered over here for Vale, and Vale won't have the option to take his Nidalee to the jungle because that has also been banned away. Going to wait for Nemesis to go for the lock-in, and it isn't going to be the pickup of the Janna or Jinx, so they're not going to prioritize that there. They're going to take the Sion and Lissandra, though, so Ascendant's going for that kind of tactic. And Imbolite had a brilliant game on Orianna. He was kind of, like you said, the unsung hero of that last game, going 3-0-18 or something crazy. It was really impressive. And he kind of didn't make any ridiculously flashy plays, but he just was as steady as a rock, did his job all game long. It was really, really lovely to see. And if he locks that in, it'll be a nice combination with the Sejuani. You've already got some synergy in the first few picks. Just going to wait to see what Dan is looking to take. Are they going to pick up a support? Are they going to pick up that Janna, or are they going to pick up that Jinx? Because that's worked out so well for them every single game that they've had it so far.
I feel like Janna would be a great pickup here if they did decide to go for it. Looking at Maokai at the moment, which I actually also kind of like, because at this point, they probably know that Sion is going top, and Maokai has a decent matchup there. Lissandra could go top with Sion support. We've seen in on that, actually to great effect once before, but I don't know if that's Damnation's style. You know, it doesn't seem like he plays things like that too often, so I think they're confident that won't happen. And actually, leaving their bot lane until last is a pretty big confidence play by Devine. They're saying Naza has been one of our highlights every single game with that Jinx, but we don't mind. We're gonna let you pick it away if you want to. Naza knows that champion. He's gonna know the matchup. He's gonna be able to deal with it.
Oh, we're going to potentially see a Lee Sin here. We haven't seen a Lee Sin in quite a while. Kind of fell off because of how powerful these junglers have become. And as I say that, it's going to be Damnation potentially taking the Thresh. But yeah, I do like the combination that's styling up for the Devine squad right here. They've got two big ball delivery systems in the form of Maokai and Sejuani. You know that Maokai is going to have a fairly decent time in lane. He doesn't get crushed by Sion, and he actually has a fairly decent matchup there. So you know that he's going to become tanky, he's going to become a threat. There isn't going to be too much of an issue with shutting him down. And Ascendants have said, we don't care about the Jinx Janna combination. And Rafa and Nizar, they have the potential to go ahead and pick that up again. And they're going to be up against Warrior on Lucian, who, I've got to say, was just outclassed by Nizar last game. Really was just outclassed. And they're going to take it. I mean, that's pretty... I can't think of the word. I guess a pretty big sort of confidence play by both Ascendants and Devine. From Devine, like you said, to say we're not going to pick it early, and Ascendant to say, actually, we don't care about it that much. And it may turn to backfire on them if they're not careful.
I actually like the fact that Ascendants picked up the Thresh here, though, right? Because there's a few reasons for it. Janna is obviously a really strong champion, but if you look at what she does in Divine's lineup as it stood before they picked it, there's a lot of all-in. Do they really need the Monsoon, right? Thresh would have been awesome, though, because he would have provided the peel, but also an additional engage tool. So, and not to mention, yet again, Thresh plus Jinx is a really strong lane too. Flame Chompers into Flay into Hook or any other combination of those 3 crowd control effects is really, really potent. So picking up the Thresh, I think, was a good shout. I would have liked to see them pick up Thresh Jinx, personally. I mean, I guess maybe with the hard engage that we've got coming out of Divine, they want something with more mobility for the AD carry slot, but I'm not sure Lucian is a pick they should have gone for. But I have to say the Thresh makes a lot of sense. I'll give that over to Ascendance for sure.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they can look to exert a little bit more pressure in lane this time. We may even, with the fact that Sion is being picked up, we may even see a lane swap trying to be instigated. But you're lane swapping into a Maokai who himself does just as well as Sion in a 2v1 matchup. So you're not going to gain any specific advantage against the opposing top laner. You're really only going to gain the advantage if you're not going to be going toe-to-toe with Jinx and Janna, but you allow that to happen, and it kind of rotates back to what we've talked about with the Jinx and Janna being so powerful as a lane pushing combination. And look, we were talking about it. We did some analysis earlier on, you did some analysis, and you brought up the points to me, and you said Jinx and Janna not being picked up for the lane pushing. You'd been offered that advice. It's not being picked up for the lane because that's very old meta. Well, it doesn't seem like it's old meta to Divine, because that is what they're doing every single time they pick this combination. They're just going for the lane push, and it's working out for them. They're just crushing these objectives so early on in the game, rotating and crushing. They leave no tower standing on the outer ring by 15 minutes. They had every single outer tower by 15 minutes last game, and that's almost something that you just don't see anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit it's not something frequently seen nowadays, unless you pick up the Jinx Janna like we were talking about. But the thing about Jinx Janna is if you go into a 2 versus 1, you're definitely going to be going for the push. If you're in a, or rather the 2 versus 2, right, you're definitely going for the push because you can then abuse the range, make it really difficult to safely CS. If you're in the 2 versus 1, there's a multitude of ways you can play that, right? You could go for the just the denial of CS to your enemy, or you could go for that push. I think Divine's style, their stylistic choice that they tend to make is that they go for the towers early on, and it's worked out really well for them so far.
And you've got to look at the opposing top laner it gives an indication as what kind of style you're going to play a 2v1 lane as well. Denying CS from a Sion is all well and good, but what is it really going to net? What is it really going to net you in the grand scheme of things? It's not going to net you a lot, because Sion is just Sion. So he's got high base damages. He doesn't need a lot of gold to put himself in a position where he's tanky. If you're, for instance, up against a Jax, or I guess even something like a big carry, like a Riven or a Tryndamere, denying the CS makes sense because it shuts them down and they become less useful. Sion is always going to be useful. Maokai is always going to be useful. So denying them the CS isn't as effective. And that's why I think we often see Nizar and Rafa go for very early pushes, because they often, when they do go into a 2v1 matchup, because I think it was a Wawa that said, why do Divine always lane swap? They've got a really skilled mechanical AD carry player. He can pretty much crush anyone with one. But when they do go for these lane swaps, they just allow him that free farm. He actually faces no pressure whatsoever. And then his mechanics come into play a little bit later on. And every time they have lane swap, they seem to lane swap into either a carry top laner that they end up pushing up against anyway, and then just rotating and not allowing that carry jungler the time to farm it regardless. Or they go up against a sort of tanky top laner where it doesn't matter anyway, and they just push regardless. So, I mean, the way they play a very fast-paced game. It is incredibly fast-paced. They take the towers, they push into the mid. You almost always see either the bot or the top outer tower going down, depending on where Nizar is, and then an immediate rotation to mid. And more often than not, you see Divine take that mid tower with incredible ease, way too easy, way too quickly than they should do after having a lane swap rotation. And even more interesting is that they often never lose Dragon, even after lane swapping.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things for me. The fact that they've got such good dragon control, even though their tower pressure is so strong, indicates to me that Dan is kind of one of the unsung heroes. We're talking about Imbolite being the unsung hero. Dan has really good jungle pressure. He is where he needs to be pretty much all the time. And we almost never see an early dragon getting taken by Divine's opponents. I think that's arguably in great part to Dan having vision around that area and posing that constant threat to anyone who might want to go for an early dragon.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, people have always talked about early dragons not being as impactful as they used to be, just because of the way it works. But I always think that if you manage to get that early dragon, you kind of then have the snowball effect of having control of the majority of the other dragons. Therefore, that afterwards. So maybe getting into game very quickly. How are you feeling these two compositions line up? Because we've not really fully talked about what each composition is designed to do here. I mean, it is fairly obvious from the Devine lineup. You've got a ball delivery system. You're going to want to get a good shockwave into a Jinx ultimate, and that is almost spelling out the majority of what you're aiming to do there. On the other side, Ascendance. I mean, what do you think about the Ascendance lineup? I mean, I'm guessing it's sort of a fairly heavy dive or catch composition. It looks like a bit of a catch composition with a Lissandra and a Thresh.
They've definitely got great potential for catch, but I actually think one of the strongest things that they've got here is the ability to disengage and then re-engage, right? So the kick is really good at disengaging, and what you can have here is Zizzle maybe split pushing with this teleport up. If anyone tries to engage, so long as Ascendants are on the ball here, well, hopefully not on the ball, hopefully not on Oriana's ball at the very least, but so long as they're, paying attention, hopefully they'll be able to get a good kick away. The box will go down, and they can kite back with the huge amount of slows they've got from Ascendant's half-pass Thor on Lissandra. They can pop out that culling and wait for Zizzle to teleport in. Then they can turn the fight around after the big team fight ults have been burned by Devine. They've got a number of ways they can play their comp. I think that's one of the advantages to the champions that Ascendants have picked. They aren't locked into one style straight from the get-go, whereas if you look at the composition coming out from Devine, Maokai doesn't offer much split-pushing pressure. Neither does anyone else on their lineup. It's not as if they've got a Zed in the mid lane, so they're pretty much just looking to team fight, which, especially if Ascendants get ahead earlier on, isn't necessarily going to work out that easily for Devine. But given the last game where Neza and Rafa just dominated their lane so hard, kind of need to see Ascendants step it up in the early game if that's their plan. If they fall behind, they're going to be pretty much constrained going for picks and split pushing. They're not going to have any ability.
Yeah, it looks like a fairly interesting ward here coming out from Devine. They want you to spy out whether Nizar and Rafa are looking to go for the two Krugs, and actually Nizar is going to put a ward down in this tri-brush, so even if they do try and contest this, they will see them coming. I do think Ascendants are potentially looking to contest this early on. The way they're gearing up, Warrior is moving into that tri-brush area. They are going to walk around and try and do something. I don't think Rafa and Nizar are going to go for this, knowing that they are in a position to potentially lose an early level 1 here.
I really like what Zizzle did just there, going with his shield first, so that he could pop those Wraiths and still take his own. But we see Nemesis Doge, he's responding and forcing him off of there. Neither of these top laners are in a great position to begin with. Nemesis isn't necessarily going to have to burn his teleport to get back to him, though. That's the big difference here. Zizzle maybe biting off more than he can chew, trying to be a bit greedy and deny the Razor Beaks and take his own.
Yeah, interestingly, he's actually now going to move around and take the Wolves anyway. I feel like this is a mistake, because what advantage is it actually going to get him at this point in time? In fact, I don't even know if he's going to be able to take them.
I've not seen a Scion do this from that low health to begin with before. I'm watching him right now. Actually, he does get a ridiculous amount of life steal. He's all good. So maybe not working out too badly, but bot lane, talking about things working out badly, Warrior, look at his health already. At least he's still got the health potion. He's going to have to pop that. Yeah, there we go. Does get popped straight away, but Neza, man, the pressure he puts down with that Jinx pick.
Yeah, I definitely think, again, it was a bit of a mistake to give Neza Jinx. We talked about it last game. It's just unfortunate that, Ascendance didn't prioritize that, and it's, again, a fantastic combo. Rafa is a really great Jinx player. I think maybe they're hoping Damnation could be a little bit more aggressive, but every time Warrior steps up to be aggressive, he is immediately getting rockets, and he's already had to burn that potion. We talked about it again. Burning a potion at level 2 is almost a red flag for losing lane. And there's a couple of questionable decisions made by the Ascendants. I don't really, again, still fully understand why Zizzle wanted to go for the Wolves. He isn't going to get level 2 first, because the lane was already there, and Nemesis had already made it 2 lane. I guess maybe he was just looking for the early goal to go back and get awards to keep himself sustained fairly easily. But I mean, that's the only reasoning I can think behind why he wanted to take those wolves. And again, Warrior and Damnation not sort of wanting to ban away or pick the Jinx Janna combo, and it's left them in a bit of a dead wood place again, because Nizar is very healthy, has got his pot, putting loads of pressure onto Warrior, and again, it's just not looking like Warrior is going to be able to be in a position to really look to dominate this lane.
I do like the fact that Ascendance picked up Lee Sin, though. Obviously, last game they had Sejuani, who is a very strong pick. Given the fact that they keep giving over this lane to Devine in the bot lane, they need to put jungle pressure on it, because we've already seen proof that Ascendance can't win the 2 versus 2, basically. They need someone who can actually help them get into a good position here, and I think Vale, if he comes bot straight away like he is, he's running down there right now, he might be able to help out. Vale, though, he's got his number. He's going down for the counter gank straight away. Here we go. Everyone's going in together. Flame Chompers, they lock up 2. Damnation is taking a lot of damage. So is Vale. Rafa puts down that exhaust. I don't know if they're going to pick up a kill, but Neza certainly laying down enough damage to make Ascendance back off. And the early pressure, because it was so telegraphed just by the picks that they made, didn't work out for Ascendance, at least not yet.
You know what's always interesting for me? In both of these games, when there's been a bot lane meetup, Dan has always been one level ahead of Vale in the jungle. And it just shows you how efficient Dan is. He still manages to put the equivalent amount of pressure that Vale has been putting down. So he's up in experience. Also, he's almost got double the farm. I know Sejuani is a powerful AoE jungler at this point in time, but Lee Sin can or should be able to at least keep up in experience, but you're just not seeing that. Lee Sin is just not kept up. Vale is just behind.
Oh, the Flame Chompers land. Warrior needs to get out of here. That was very close. Relentless Pursuit coming out just in time to save his life, but this is just relentless. Pursuit.
They're gonna stick around here in this bot lane though, however, and I think this is potentially a risky move from Warrior, because they probably won't stay around till Jinx is 6, but if they do, that's almost certainly going to be a dead guy, and he's going to try and farm as a turret, but it may even just spell an occasion for Dan to try and look for the turret dive. They have placed that precautionary ward. I think they do realise that there is the potential for the turret dive to happen. But look at what Nizar. He's so good at just getting under turret, using that range, and just getting a lot of harass down onto the opposing AD carry. Warrior really struggling again. And I kind of feel like the Ascendant bot lane kind of sealed their own fate with this. They played against that lineup last time. I'm not sure if they were just misreading how the lane went or misreading how strong Nizar was on that champion. But if you allow Jinx the early lane, she's going to power spike very quickly and just do really nasty things to your team.
Yeah, that's a very good point. At this stage, I feel like Nazar is kind of putting in a petition for Relentless Pursuit's name to be changed to
Half-past
Retreat. Oh man, he's going into the mid lane. That was a big onslaught coming in out of Zizzle, but wasn't able to get there. Did burn Imbolite's flash, so not the worst trade in the world.
Just had an update from the admins if anyone's interested in the other semi-final going on right now between, I think, Choke Gaming and Perilous Rift. Choke are 1-0 up at this point in time, so they're in a similar position to Devine. They are looking to secure their place and qualify in this ESL second open. It will be a best of 3 in the final, so they'll be deciding their seeds as they go into the group stages. But otherwise, yeah, it could be a Choke Devine final if it continues the way that the last game went, and it continues the way it looks like the early pressure is coming from this the Devine side. We could see Devine securing their place, and if the Choke game goes similarly, could be the Choke team facing up against Devine also.
Yeah, that'd be a great match as well. Devine have really been impressing me this week. Last week, if you compare their performance against Ascendance last week to this one, they've been doing much, much better this time round. And this is even with the substitute player in the top lane. Obviously they had Nemesis on their jungle last week, subbing out for Dan, but it's kind of unfortunate we haven't actually got to see Devine play with their entire roster. They are such a strong team, even with these substitutes, that I'm actually really interested to see how well they would do if they had everything that they wanted.
I believe yesterday they did actually have everybody from their lineup, and they were just as strong, really. I think we saw Prince Philip play Singed yesterday It was it was a really great game from Devine, and I like I said, I've been impressed. They're a new team, and the majority of the roster actually have been at some point on Infused. I mean, so they've got a lot of experience in the UK scene and had some good tournament experience too. Nizar used to be GeoBear, who was top mid and now AD carry. I think Dan was also a jungler for Infused at the same time that GeoBear was there. I believe they're brothers, so that makes sense. Imbolite was also on that lineup as well. He was the mid laner for Infused for a bit, made a bit of a comeback. And I think Rafa has also had a stint, but again, don't quote me on that. So these guys have got a lot of tournament experience, and obviously we're one of the best teams in the UK. Infused have already qualified. They qualified last week, coming in as the second seed from that qualifier after losing to the FM after a really fantastic finals, going 2-1 there. Very impressive how both teams played that one, and looking forward to seeing them play the ESL Premiership. But Devine right now, that's what it's about this game. They are looking to secure their place and qualify. And right now, they're just ever so slightly ahead. Only 300 gold, but it's barely anything at this point in time.
Whoa, Rafa actually trying to bait a fight there, but this might work out badly for them. Vale, he's coming in. Dan's here for the counter gank, blocks that Sonic Strike, and now Vale gets locked up. Rafa picking up that one. 2 teleports, both come in from the top lane. Warrior getting locked up, needs to get out of there. Great knockup by Zizzle, but I don't know if they've got the damage to turn this around onto Divine's bot lane. They're just turning this up, trying to go in onto Ascendance, and that is going to flash away from Damnation. No kills going over to Ascendance's side, and actually, we've got half past Thor here, but it's kind of late. You know, he's a bit late to the party. Imbolite has come down, but they're just going to go straight to this dragon. No contest coming out of Ascendance either, so Devine, man, and is just on point with these counter ganks.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that's so impressive about Dan when he plays in the jungle. He reads the map so well. Every time that Vale is looking to make something happen, Dan is there, and a level up again. Still a level ahead, still one step ahead of Vale in the jungle. And again, I think for maybe the 4th or 5th game running that we've seen Devine play, they are the first to take the first dragon away. So they've got that first dragon on the board, and it's a similar formula. Haven't seen any towers go down as of yet. They've actually done a good job of defending that bot lane tower, but it is close to going down. They just haven't, because of the amount of pressure that Vale has been putting on this bot lane, hasn't allowed Nizar and Rafa the time to basically put the pressure that they need to on that tower. But it's not worked out badly either way. They have taken that first dragon up on that anyway.
This time, actually, as bad as it has been looking for Warrior, he's actually keeping up on CS, and there aren't kills on the side of Nizar, just the assists. Yeah. So it's not going as badly as it has been previously, but at the same time, Dan has been putting way more pressure down than Vale, so one place kind of ups their game a little bit, maybe another starts doing a little bit less. Rafa, though, does need to be careful. Warrior isn't as far behind this time. He can put down a lot more damage in trades.
Yeah, again, they were early dominating, but they've actually managed to stabilize quite well. And I think a lot of it is due to the presence of Vale in that bot lane. I know Dan has been there for the counter ganks, and obviously Vale hasn't managed to make happen what he wanted to happen, but he's definitely done a good job of trying to allow his bot lane at least to keep in the game. They are definitely toe-to-toe at this point. I know it looks like Devine have all the pressure and they've got the slight experience advantage, but the CS does sort of allow a lot more gold to be going on to Warrior this game.
Oh, Vale's coming in from top lane to help out Zizzle on Nemesis. He pops that Vengeful Maelstrom, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. The kick followed by the Sonic Strike is going to pick that one up. A really nice job there, and actually bot lane Death Sentence not quite landing onto Nizar. We've got Dan sitting around looking to make something happen here. The tower is quite low on health. This is going to force a defense out of Ascendance, but the tower goes down. Jinx gets excited. The slow comes out from the Glacial Prison Permafrost, and Warrior is going to go down to Dan. A tower being taken in return in the top lane, but Rafa, he's on hot pursuit of Damnation. Those mobility boots doing a really good job of keeping him alive for now. Imbolite comes in from the side. Damnation's got nowhere to run to. Half past Thor not even attempting to come down and help out. Just doesn't have what it takes at the moment. Not enough mana, no Frozen Tomb on cooldown. Nizar, he's not actually done. He's trying to put down some pressure on half past Thor, who has to flash away. Get excited is such a good ability.
Oh, it is fantastic. Actually, Half Past Door not as far behind as he was previously. It looks like he was trying to bait out engaging there, but obviously there was no way. And again, we've seen something very similar from the Devine lineup. They take that bottom lane tower, and within 5 minutes, probably less than that, have taken this mid lane tower off the board too. So you're going to start seeing Devine pick their team into gear and look to push hard onto this mid lane and try and get that top lane turret too. It allows them the pressure across the jungle that they had previously. They're going to want to start getting deep towards him now that they've got that. But it looks like a return push, 5-man push here. Nice response from the Ascendance line.
Oh, wow! Back on to Naza, but a huge shockwave lands onto everyone. It's not enough. There's no follow-up. Imbolite goes down too. Devine biting off more than they can chew there. They're going to lose the tower. They're going to lose 2 kills. And the pressure isn't being let up by Ascendance as well. They're just going to back off now after getting that tower. But man, what a good insect kick there from Vale, really making it happen for his team.
Sorry, RIP headphone users, that was an exciting play. I kind of calmed down from it, but at the time I was like, oh my word. But yeah, it does look like Vale. I don't think anyone expected Vale to do the flash insect, the animation kick there. I don't think anyone expected that. And at least of all Nazar, he went down very quickly. Imbolite got a brilliant shockwave, but he's not quite at the level of damage that he was previously, or at least when the teamfights are happening, he's not quite at that level of damage. So although he hit so many key members, it just wasn't doing, a chunking amount of damage, and it didn't manage to pick up any kills. And he was taken down by Half Past Door for his troubles, and Half Past Door picking up his Zhonya's. That's a big power spike for Alessandra. Not looking awful for Ascendance this game. They've kept themselves right in the mix.
They have definitely kept themselves in a better position this time round, but the big thing for Devine here that still makes me inclined to think they're ahead is the fact that they're not behind and they've got a late game scale. Whereas, it sounds silly to say that, right? But look at the past games, right? They've been ahead with a late game comp. This game, they're even slightly ahead in gold actually with a late game comp. They're not looking bad at all even after that play in the mid lane because they were ahead before it even happened.
Yeah, I mean, they are dealing with a slightly more scary mid laner, I would guess, this time. One that can get in your face a little bit more than the Xerath could. And I think that suits Half Past Door's playstyle a little bit better, because we saw him on Xerath. He was so aggressive and so in your face that it was just a champion that suited his playstyle very well. And I think Lysandra is in a similar vein to that. A nice safeguard by Vale, but he's going to get knocked up anyway.
It lands on 2, shockwave onto Vale only. Does put some good damage down, but he's going to be able to get out of there. Half Past Door using that Glacial Prison, but Maokai coming in from the flank. Damnation goes down. Half Past Door, he gets chased onto. Flash Arctic Assault. Gonna knock him up. Zonya's keeping him alive for now, but it's not enough. Perfectly timed Arcane Smash. Zizzle, his teleport hasn't managed to make anything happen to get slowed up here. The sapling slow as well. Naza, he's finally in the mix. Can Zizzle get out of here? Flashes into that dragon pit. But this is certainly going to be a dragon going the way of Devine. There is not enough here from Ascendance to defend it.
Yeah, and this is a great time for that teamfight to happen for Devine. Just means they again secure their dragon advantage. They're going to take the second one off the map now. That's going to be the tower destruction, and then I imagine Nizar is going to be very happy about that. He will be a monster coming into these tower pushes that the Devine team really, really love to do. But Zizzle...
bot lane. Nizar actually getting engaged onto. There's a Righteous Glory on Zizzle, which does force Naza to burn that flash with a tower here to retreat to. I think he's okay. That said, here comes the rest of Ascendance. He needs to get out of there. Nemesis Dope keeping him safe for now, applying pressure to that backline. Dan, he's coming in as well. The rest of Devine starting to group up here, trying to push back onto Ascendance, but they are going to read the situation perfectly. Get on out of there. Good ward spotting out that convergence of Devine's members. Vale, he tries to go into Naza, but Dan's there. Now Nemesis, he's going in. Vale falls to Rafa, and Devine pick up an easy kill. They're going to be able to get some push down maybe as a result of this. No one is in the mid lane to stop Imbolite here. That is not a good situation, actually. At least Ascendance have the top lane pushing in there. Someone's going to have to go deal with that.
Yeah, they will eventually have to go deal with that. Rafa's just picked up his Magi Soul Stealer, and at 2-0-4, who would blame him? The guy has been on form on Janna yet again. Imbolite going to get himself away very safely in that mid lane. Looks like there's a fairly hefty chase coming after him, but I think he'll be away and free. Ascendance haven't given up though. They are really, really looking to push this one out.
Maybe they want to try and dive in this top lane with all the CC they have. Rafa actually does get hit by the death sentence, but I think Ascendance realize the folly of their ways as the rest of Devine regroup in that top lane. Not going to be able to get an easy dive off, that's for sure.
Yeah, and what I do like about this game and the way the Ascendants have played it is they've allowed Lucian to keep right toe-to-toe with Jinx. They've both got their Infinity Edge. They aren't, neither one is behind each other, but you just know that the power spike for Jinx is much higher when she's got that Infinity Edge than it is for Lucian. Lucian obviously does well. The Light Slinger is always going to be great with the Infinity Edge because both of those can crit. But the biggest item for Jinx to pick up, especially in the early to mid game, is that Infinity Edge. It's just such a powerful item for both wave clear, the speed up that she gets from her minigun. All of them synergize so well with that item, and it's just I don't think he'll look to duel unless he does get some really awesome crits and the Light Slinger does him some real justice. He probably won't be looking to duel Jinx at this point in time.
Yeah, I do think that would be a mistake. He's got a lot of burst damage, but the problem is if a good Flame Chomper comes out and Neza just backs up a little bit, he's going to outrange him with the fish bones, and none of that damage will actually count for anything on the side of the war, so.
It is a bit of a skill, I guess, duel, because if Zap lands and then you immediately get the advantage and Nazar can either outrange, he's also got the execute if the Flame Chompers land and he can do his thing, and he uses his execute at the right time. It is definitely something that can go to Jinx, but if Lucian's quick, gets all of his Light Singers off, hits all of his abilities, he is one of the better dueling AD carries in the game, so there's always that on the board. But 20 minutes in now and the gold lead is at 3k. It's not quite as dire as it was previously for Ascendance, but they are definitely looking there that it's starting to lose the momentum that they had coming into this mid-game. And Devine are looking to ramp it up once again. Just when you think that they're being caught up, they take it up to another gear and really run away these teamfights. I've been very impressed with Dan Sejuani too. What jungler can't this guy play? He's very good.
Yeah, he seems to dabble in pretty much all of the jungle meta. Basically, we've seen him play Vi, for example, as well, who's a little bit less popular than she used to be. Warrior, trying to take this red buff away, is actually kind of struggling in comparison with Neza. That's the difference Ezreal makes. And actually, neither of them opting to go for a ranked groups early, which kind of surprises me, given that there's a lot of catch or engage potential on either side, respectively.
I'm trying to think what boots would actually do for you, second tier boots against both of these engages, because really what's the engage from Ascendance of the Scion Ultimate or a Thresh Hook? I know in Thresh Hooks you can dodge, but most of them you kind of get caught off guard. And from Devine, it's sort of like a Sejuani Ultimate or Maokai. If you're going to be in range for those, it's the boots will make a little difference. But it looks like
Zizzle catch here. Zizzle does get Arctic Assault onto him and has to use his unstoppable onslaught to get away. That's not an ideal situation. That's basically the primary engage gone now for Ascendance. It's going to be hard for them to fight under this tower with that not available. Half-Azor also having to back after picking up his blue buff. So this could potentially be an easy tower for Devine. Jinx does do a lot of damage.
Yeah, it's been a while since Devine have picked up a tower, actually, which is odd. I think they had both of the mid lane and bot lane tower by 15 minutes. So it's been about 6 minutes, which, counting last game where they seem to be taking towers left, right, and center, they're sort of, this one's a little bit stalled for them. That they're struggling a little bit more. But with the dragon up in 40 seconds, this will be probably the next big team fight for both sides.
Yeah, I would imagine so, and Vale taking a lot of poke beforehand doesn't bode very well for Ascendance. He needs to be the front line, or at least part of the front line for his team. If he goes in and just gets burst without getting a good Dragon's Rage off, it's not a good situation for Ascendance, although Righteous Glory, everything's coming out of Neza. He didn't get out of here in time. He is gonna go down, no questions asked. That's gonna be picked up by Half-Azor, and actually Rafa, oh no, he gets caught out by the death sentence. Gan's coming in. He might need to use a big Glacial Prison here. Does land it onto 3. Imbolite with a great flag picks up 2 or 3 with that. Shock the wave, and now Half-Azor getting collapsed onto. He does do a lot of damage in the return. Zizzle uses the unstoppable onslaught. Everyone's so low from Devine. Warrior, they hear Ascendance. They're turning this fight around. Nemesis, the last member standing, and have to flash out of there. No chance for him to get a kill. And actually, Ascendance out of nowhere, they pick up that fight. Neza mispositioning badly, sticking around way too long in the bot lane.
It was more that I actually don't know what the team communication was like from there for Devine, but Devine saw that the entirety of Ascendance are moving down towards this dragon. Actually, Nemesis looking to completely solo out this team.
Dodges the death sentence. He's actually doing a lot of damage to the Super Mega Death Rocket, too. He can turn this round.
Oh my word!
He gets one. He's going for two. He's so low. Oh my God. Zizzle shuts him down finally, but that was ridiculous.
That was absolutely crazy. Nemesis single-handedly stopped the Drake from being taken, and it's actually put Devine back into a position where they can very easily contest this Drake. That was crazy. He was so close to getting a triple kill by himself. I've got to say, there was one moment in that fight where he used the Twisted Advance to dodge the Scion Decimating Smash. It was so good. And yeah, very impressive.
Veil. He needs to be careful here. Has to use that safeguard out of there. Zap would have spelled good for him. But Devine, I'm pretty sure they can take this if they want to. Just need to be careful of that frozen tune from Half Past 2.
Yeah, again, it is available. This whole thing started just because...
oh, here we go. There's a teleport in from Nemesis Dope.
Wow.
Shockwave in Glacial Prison, locking everyone up. This fight looks a lot different than the last. Good Dragon's Rage knocks up 4, but it's not going to be enough. Neza actually doesn't be careful here not to get sniped out by a Sonic Strike. Prediction not quite there from Veil. Dragon goes down, 3 kills as well. Man, Devine, there was such a good glimmer of hope for Ascendance here, but that hero play from Nemesis just really locked them out of getting any advantage from that last fight.
And then Devine finally played their composition 101 right there with just a fantastic ball delivery into key targets. It very rarely see that happen in Orianna compositions. Often she's actually positioning the ball herself, but that was just brilliant. That was basically what their comp was designed to do, and they did a fantastic job of it. And immediately after that one fight, they're looking to get a couple of objectives that they could have taken off the map. They've taken that mid-lane. It looks at half past score though. I think we may have lost our other caster. Half past score goes in, he uses the Zhonya's. Currently Nemesis in the backline. Dan doing the best thing.
Massive from Neza and Imbolite. They go in. Double kill for Neza. The rocket gets blocked by Zizzle. And actually, oh, he gets hooked onto the tower. Goes down a warrior. That is a lot of the push now lacking for Devine. But with so few members healthy on the side of Ascendance, they might still be able to get this. They're looking for it. It seems like they're going to be able to pick it up. Nice death sentence there by Damnation, though. Not allowing the fight to go completely the way of Devine.
Oh, I thought you'd gone there, Jackson, because I couldn't hear you for about 10 seconds, so I started doing your play-by-play. Oh, dear. But no, that was a good fight, and a good fight again for Devine, always actually turning it around at the last moment, only losing Nezar. Fantastic hook by Damnation, but Nezar is 338 right now. 3 big items completed on him. He is looking incredibly strong. And again, it's going to be so difficult for Ascendance to turn this around with a Jinx that is just that far into her late game build. And we, I think, may have lost Jackson again, so I'll just continue to talk aimlessly as I always do. Looks like Baron is a point of contention. Imbolite just going to take away his blue buff. He is, again, having a really solid game. He's got that Rabadon's Death Cap. That's a nice spike for Orianna. And Dan and team just looking to get complete control of this river area. And I do confirm by the TS user in your channel timed out that Jackson has indeed disappeared. So I will continue to do my best to provide some solo commentary for everyone here. Damnation here is getting caught out by Dan. He gets locked up and goes down instantly to Imbolite. Zizzle does his best with the Decimating Smash, but it wasn't quick enough. And unfortunately, Damnation, you were on the wrong side of the frost as Sejuani did her best job to charge him down. They're going to go ahead and try and take yet another turret off the map. This will be the final inner turret on the map for Ascendance, and what looked like a very close game is suddenly turning very much against their favor. And again, you're just seeing Nazar do what he does best, and Rafa in the backline, he is going to try and dual warrior 1v1 here. He has got that Majais with, I believe, 10 stacks at this point in time. The guy is 3, 1, and 10, so you don't want to be messing with a Janna with that much AP as they are pushing onto this inner turret at this point. Half Past Thor doing his best job to clear the waves. That really is their only wave clear apart from the Decimation Smash and Roar of the Slayer, but at this point in time the damage compared to Half Past Thor is almost negligible. We're just waiting. It looks like Warrior going to try and 1v1 with Dan. Dan has to jump away. Can't quite on the AD carries point, but Nemesis gets locked up. Not the key target that you'd want, and look at Nizar doing exactly what he does best. He's just got loads of damage, got loads of armor pen. A great ultimate by Orianna, hits a Veil and Damnation. Looks like Half-Life Story is in the wrong place at the wrong time. The Zhonya's comes out at the last moment, but in the meantime, the rest of Ascendance are getting cleaned up, and a nice flash engage onto Dizzle. He's gonna get away though with that onslaught, but the triple kill, the quadra kill, is he gonna give him the penalty? He gets slowed down by Roar of the Slayer. Damnation doesn't want to give this one over. Nizar really wants it. Oh, the Mikhails is gonna stop the kill with the ignite, and unfortunately scumbag Damnation does not give another pentakill over to Nizar. This would be his second if he did manage to get it. Damnation just teasing the waters as this inhibitor turret is being focused down. That would have been the second pentakill in 2 days for Nizar on Jinx, and people wonder why we think that you should not let him have that champion. He is so good with it, and they are going to back out here. And again, very dicey fight by the Ascendance lineup, and it's just looking like it's spiraling out of control yet again. Devine showing why they are one of the top seeded teams in this tournament. They are looking to secure their place. They're looking to qualify for the ESL UK Premiership, and for a new team in the UK scene, this will be a big welcome introduction to the big dogs. Ascendance looking to go for a very sneak, easy Baron, maybe just looking to clear it out, but they are going to take away this pink ward. I believe our other caster is back in channel, so if anyone can hear me, you can drag him in, because he'll be here to help me cast yet again. As much as I enjoy listening to my own voice, it's pretty difficult. And there he is. He's back in the fray. Asigilus nearly missed yet another pentakill, the second pentakill that he may have missed during his play-by-play casting career of this tournament. And again, I had the pleasure of nearly casting a pentakill, except it wasn't a pentakill, it was a pentakill. So, we are going to... yeah, I take it you're not actually spectating anymore, so I'm just going to have to continue. As they're taking the inhibitor down, this is the second inhibitor for Devine potentially going down. Looks like Nizar is going for the frontline engage. Half-Life Thor doing his best job of warding them off with the Path of Frost, but it's not going to happen. As they rotate round for the second inhibitor turret, this will be the last stand for Ascendance if they do choose to fight this, but I don't think they will. They'll be very precautious. Looks like Imberlight gets locked up. Oh, the shockwave kills one member. Veil goes down. Looks like Half-Life Soul gets blown out by the monsoon. He's going to go down. Double kill for Imberlight here. And Dizzle is looking very meager in the backline. As again, Nizar picks up another kill and a double kill. Will this be a triple kill? Yes, it will. A quadra followed by a triple, and this will be GG. Devine have secured their place in the finals. A surrender vote comes out from Ascendance, and the final is already got its one member, Devine Esports. They have qualified already for the ESL UK Premiership, and they looked so strong through both of those games. We're going to wait for the results from the other semi-final, but we will be back with you ASAP, guys, for the final between Devine and yet undetermined, but I believe Choke were 1-0 up a few minutes ago, so those guys are in a position to try and take themselves into the final two. We will be back, guys. I'm Scoundrel. I am also joined by Asigilus. He is here, so he will be back for the next game. We won't be too long. We'll try and get it set up as soon as both teams are ready. We've obviously got to wait for the other semi-final to conclude. Stick around, guys. It's been fantastic.